Hi, this is the 8th grade lab safety part 1B video to follow up with the part 1 video. In this video, we are going to talk about some general lab safety criteria that you need to successfully complete to get into the lab. We'll talk about some school safety protocols as well as our classroom safety protocols in case of an emergency situation. And remember, as we talked about before, lab safety is everybody's responsibility, including mine as a teacher. Please remember to be respectful of yourself, others, and the equipment, and be responsible for yourself and the equipment, and be safe above all, so you don't hurt yourself or somebody near you. Now, to get you thinking about lab safety, we have the JYMS Science Lab Safety Agreement document. This document is something that you will read through with your parents, and you will both agree to and sign. And this is one of the 3 things that you need to complete to get into our lab and to be safe and learn in our lab. Now, you don't have to tear the bottom of this document off. You can bring the whole document back, turn it into your teacher. It will be posted for you in the digital format in Google Classroom, so you can refer back to it anytime you need to. Now remember, to qualify to do labs when using fire, chemicals, and or hot liquids, you must satisfy 3 requirements. The first of which is to complete and turn in the lab safety agreement sheet as seen on the left of this slide. The second is to complete and turn in the lab safety notes. And the third thing is to complete and turn in the lab safety assessment with a level of proficiency. And you'll find out what that is when you get to the assessment. Now, if you are struggling in the lab, you're being unsafe, you're being unkind to others, you're causing a situation that is unsafe to people in the room, and you're just not able to handle it, then you'll probably end up getting the lab alternative, which usually means that I will provide you with the data or a video for you to collect the data from, and then you will complete the lab at your seated area versus in the lab area with your partners. You'll probably also have to follow up the lab activity safety expectation document like this, where I'll go through and mark off the things that I observed you doing that were not safe. And then you'll have to write up a statement as to what you're going to do to improve your behavior. And if it's really bad, we may have to call your parents at some point in time. I'm hoping that you never have to do this. If you're having a bad day, you just can't handle doing a lab for whatever reason it may be, just let your teacher know that ahead of time. And then we'll come up with a plan for you to make up the lab or to get you the data for the lab alternative. So that way, nobody's put in a bad position and everybody has a good day, as good as it can be. All right. Now, the parent signature on the back side of that document may or may not be required depending upon the severity of your behavior. A phone call home may not be required. If you make a poor choice, and we talk about it, and then you understand what was wrong, and you're not going to do that behavior again, then that's good enough that you'll do the lab alternative for that day, and then you can hopefully get back into the next lab activity that we do. All right, now, the next part of this discussion is about emergency procedures that are school-wide. And you'll notice in our school and classrooms, every classroom has at least one of these posters posted. And this is one of those reasons why we need to be relatively quiet in our room, so if something comes on the announcement telling us these instructions, we know what to do. So this is called the I Love You Guys protocol, and these things don't necessarily have to go in this exact order, but we're going to talk about what to do in each scenario. Remember, in emergency procedures, when you hear it, do it. That doesn't mean get your phone out and start talking to your parents. It doesn't mean talk to each other and be loud and yell and scream. It means you have to be quiet, immediately shut off any lab equipment that you may have on, and then listen for instructions, because the teacher has to listen for instructions over the PA as well. All right. The least dangerous of these is a hold. What that means is that you will get out of the hallway if you're in the hallway, and then remain in a room or whatever area you're in until you hear the all clear. Generally, this is happening when there is a situation that may be a medical situation in a classroom, or somebody's having behavioral issues in the classroom, and people just don't need to be in the hallways seeing what's going on. So as an adult, I'll ask you to stay in the room if you need to go to the bathroom, and I have to ask you to wait And then if you really need to go to the bathroom, I'll have to call the office and see if it's okay for you to get an escort to the bathroom to go. Secure. Now in this situation, what this means is there's something going on outside our building. So if you're outside at recess, if you're outside for Phi-Ed, or we're outside for an activity, and we hear secure, that means we need to get inside the building, and then all the outside doors have to be locked down. This is generally the type of thing as if there's a wild animal running around outside, if the police are serving a warrant someplace, and they don't want us out and about outside the building. So this would be a secure situation. Business as usual inside the building. You can go from class to class. We just can't be outside the building. This is the most severe of behavioral type situations. A lockdown. If we hear that there is a lockdown, it means locks are in place, the lights are out, and we get out of sight. That means we need to be silent as well. We can't have our phones out in our hands and have the screens lit up because somebody might be able to see us. Now, hopefully this situation never occurs and we don't ever have to worry about it other than for practice. But it does mean that we need to be very careful. Now, if you happen to be out in the hallway during this situation, you need to try to find some place to hide as quickly as possible. If you're in the bathroom, stay in the bathroom and be as quiet as possible. If at all possible, if this situation were to happen and they say that there is an event happening at the other end of the building from where you are, by all means, this is the time when you try to get out of the building safely and go to one of the 2 rally points that will be established. I am not going to tell where the rally points are in this video. You'll find out when we talk about things during our class time. But it's extremely important during a lockdown procedure to be quiet and listen to instructions. They will be given very quietly. Now for an evacuation, this is a type of situation where something's going on in our building and we need to leave. Like let's say there's a gas leak or there's a sewer backup or something of that sort, or the electricity goes out for some reason. This means that we will be leaving our building. Generally we would end up going to the high school, to either the large gym or the track, and there will be maps provided for you later that will show us where you go. But you will be going with the teacher that you're with during that class time. If it's during lunchtime, we'll have to wait and see what administration tells us to do for lunchtime, or if a situation like that happens before or after school. Okay? If it's after school, I'm assuming you would just go home. If it's before school, then I'm assuming you would go with your first hour teacher, but we'll have to find out what administration says for that. Now for fire drills, from our room, what we do, since we're on the 2nd floor, is we'll exit the building if at all possible by the closest exit, which happens to be the one by the band room doors. And we'll stand by the railing in the blacktop area as a class. We'll line up alphabetically by last name. Once we're outside, don't try to line up before we go outside. And then that way I can do attendance as quickly as possible because I need to report if anyone is missing. This is also the reason why you need to make sure you sign out to go to the bathroom or other classrooms, because that way we know where you are. And remember, we have to be a level 1 voice when we're outside, and we should be quiet when we're in the hallways. Again, if we have to evacuate, you will go with your class teacher and sit with your class teacher in their assigned location, whether it's at the high school gym or at the high school track area. There are 2 rally points designated for our school, but again, I won't be saying where they are. If this situation happens in case of a lockdown and you need to evacuate the building immediately, if it's a bad weather scenario or some other case, then we will figure out where you are and get you back to your parents and keep you safe. Now, if we have bad weather, we need to shelter. Now, the nice thing is about our room is we are underground on part of our room, and we have a lot of concrete between us and the outside, so we are actually a shelter-in-place room. So that means we get to the back of the room, tuck our chin down, and get on our knees and tuck down, cover our hands over our head to keep ourselves safe in the case or event of a tornado or some sort of tornadic type activity. So we are a shelter-in-place room, so we stay in our very own room. Now, that's the procedural stuff. We'll talk more about it in class. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Now, other things to think about for our lab specifically is lab preparation is a great way to be safe and be responsible. If you're prepared ahead of time, you're less likely to have an accident. Very few things are accidents. Most of the time it's due to lack of forethought and preparation. I will always do pre-lab information for you to tell you where to get things, how to be safe, what the hazards are, and how to dispose of things that need to be disposed of. Being prepared will prevent you from wasting time and hopefully prevent you from making a mistake that could create a hazard for yourself or others. At the beginning of each lab period, we'll be given a chance to ask questions. If you're unsure of a procedure, be sure you ask about it, and always pay close attention to all instructions given, especially during the pre-lab time. Silliness in the lab will likely result in an alternative assignment for the lab and may require you to fill out one of those sheets and may require a parent signature and or phone call, so please, best behavior in the lab, keep everybody safe, and please follow the expectations, keep yourself and others safe in our room at all times. Now, some things that will help keep you safe is keep your work area free from clutter. Remember, you shouldn't have bags and purses and things like that in our classroom. Water bottles are allowed, but remember, make sure you follow the school expectations. You cannot have your water bottle and food in the lab area, only at our seating area. So please, no food or drink in the lab area at all. You should not have food in our room other than designated times. And then please leave your phone in your locker. If you have to have it with you and administration allows that, then please make sure you have it off and away. If you have it out and you're playing with it, then we have to deal with it on a different situation. You should not need your phone to take videos or pictures or anything like that during lab time. And that completes our Lab Safety Part 1B video. Thank you.